that is one of the advantages of podcasting with a longtime friend. It's like you can sense when that build-up's coming, and it's like,
hello, everybody.
I'm seeing some rant coming, and I mean, they don't need to know what
they don't need to know what it's about. But no, it was. I'm not that upset about it. But hey, guess what I have today, Delvin?
What do you have today, Jarrod? Oh wow, a big bottle and a little.
They're both Diet Frosty root beer bottles. I saved them. Eat this, Jason lady, you sack of shit.
New Warriors come out to play.
I take back the mean thing I said about Jason lady. He's a good dude.
He is a good dude who I may or may not have used as leverage to give Jarrod a ribbing or 200 or 300.
2 real glass bottles. I have a third Cheerwine Zero in the wings in case something went wrong.
My dude, you came prepared.
23 episodes in.
Hey, congratulations on your preparation. And
hey,
Jason just wants to confirm that he is a good dude.
Nope. Now he's back to being a piece of poop because I can't humble myself and then you underscore the humbling of myself. It's not.
Underscore the humbling. Then it's like an overscore with the underscore, and you got to have like the score like in the middle. Yeah, unlike that Georgia TCU game.
I didn't watch 1 second of it. I watched a movie last night. It was pretty good too. And after the movie, I figured that game's probably over now. And I looked at the score and I just went, "Oh dear God!"
Yeah, I went to jiu-jitsu, and I left a little bit late, and it's like, well, I'll get to go home and maybe just watch a little bit of the game. And I'm trying to remember. It was like 31-7, and I'm like, and then whoever I was texting, they're like, yeah, they're about to score again. And sure enough, they did. And it's like, is Georgia playing pinball? We are not here to talk about the TCU and how they absolutely did not arrive. We already have some good comments, though. Courtney says, welcome back. For people listening to this in posterity, I was not at a live stream that we did yesterday concerning Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles, though I wish I were there in person. I was there on the feed, actually. Listened to it on a car drive back from Birmingham, Alabama. So, yeah, there is that. And thank you for welcoming me back, Courtney.
Man, we got a lot of folks in the chat.
We do, man. People are saying hello. What's up? How you doing? Hello, everybody. I should start with the script.
Hey, while he's pulling that script up, how about if you like my mustache, go ahead and like this live stream on YouTube. If you don't like it, then sarcastically give it a thumbs up on YouTube.
See, the mustache actually isn't bad on you. Like, I mean, I know it's comical, but it's not bad. Now, like, generally, you can't grow a mustache. That's
comical. You got called out by the MVP.
What? Oh,
she said you were in Birmingham, and she lives in Birmingham. So,
man, I
have it on good authority that I believe she's attending Heroes Con this year. So you guys will get to.
She is. She messaged me and she was asking me about some places to stay here in the area. She wants to stay by a brewery called Wooden Robot, which is pretty good to go to if you like the beers. It's a robot and it's wooden. You figure it out.
I don't like it.
And I can explain to Kathy at a later time why exactly I was in Birmingham. Actually, I'll say this. I'm usually in Birmingham and out of Birmingham. It's kind of like the train and the Sherlock Holmes bit. Either you're on the train or off the train. I'm either in Birmingham or out of Birmingham. I go in there, get my business done, get out. And that's what I did. It was my brother's birthday. He turned 50. Happy birthday, Tom.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Yes, script. Jarrod already mentioned hit the like and subscribe button. I put that up higher in the script, Jarrod. But
I don't read the script.
You don't need to, right? In case you're new to the show, everybody, welcome. Come play with us as we talk about Marvel Comics, The New Warriors. And he's already been talking, and I've been talking with him, my warrior at arms, my compadre, my Nova, to my Night Thrasher. His name is Jarrod Albrecht. We call him the yard sale artist, sometimes Death Probe. And Jarrod, do you have a question for me?
I do. I'm about to do a couple more I finished it's for our Patreon members, which reminds me, I probably should put some banners up. If you're interested in becoming a Crusaders Club member at patreon.com, that's at the bottom of the screen. I'm in the midst of doing some I finished it's because I finished a lot of video games over the holiday season, two of which, Delvin, were Batman games. I did Arkham Asylum and I did Arkham City, which I must have left in the living room because I don't have my prop with me. But I did those two, the first two of a very, very good franchise. This is not your official question yet, Delvin, but have you tried the Arkham games? Because they're quite good.
Okay. Yeah, I have not. Man, I have not even touched a console game in forever, sadly.
They're very good. My actual question for you is, I think these might be the Arkham games might be the best superhero games ever made. What is your favorite superhero video game that you've ever played?
I'm going to take it back because, like I mentioned, I have not done console games really for the better part of like in my own home. Man, well, I played like a role-playing game over the COVID when COVID just started. Didn't have anything else to do, called Blue Dragon. But I'm going to just take it back then to the console games, and I'm going to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I mean, I plunked so many quarters into that thing.
Oh, beat 'em up. I was about to say, it's a really good beat 'em up one.
Oh yeah,
it's either Turtles in Time or I think the first one was just called
just TMNT. Yeah. I played the heck out of both of them, and now that you mention it, I mean, I did play some Avengers too. When that came out, I love that Avengers game. That Avengers game was very, very fun too. And The Simpsons. I played a lot of those team-up games. Whoever came up with that is a freaking genius.
That's a troll right there. That has got to be a troll. I don't believe you. That was Jason Lady saying the NES Wolverine. X-Men 2 on Sega Genesis for Scott. Jim Meal says the Arkham games are great. Lego Marvel. Those Lego games and Lego DC, as Tony Pinson mentioned, those are really good too. The good news for you, Delvin, is I have two things that you're going to be interested in. Out in my man cave, I have the arcade 1-up version of the Turtles game. So nice. And it comes with 1 and 2, so you can play them both. And I also have a godson who's 8 years old who loves nothing more than to play them. So you've got that built in for whenever you get down here.
Man, it's been too long, man. I tell you that much. Like, time has just been weird. I need to get down there for like maybe a game and then just drive down there and hang out with you and fam for a few days. Hey, you know what? Like, you know who else has a Turtles game at their place and has an 8-year-old son? That'd be John Watson.
Oh wow,
Auburn fan. Yeah,
we have
John has has a son, Jack, and when I was there for his retirement, I played some Turtles with his son, Jack. It was really, really fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, loved it. Man, that was an excellent question and got me in a good mood. I was already in a good mood, and it's always a good mood and good times. Talking with you and
I'm going to talk over you. Tony Pennington just mentioned the X-Men arcade. Especially if you could find, what was it, with like 6 players? It had the really big one. It had 2 screens. Oh my gosh, I would Colossus the F out on that. Just Yep. You got it. I loved playing as Colossus in that game. I remember the Savage Land levels. Oh, don't get me started. Good memory.
Yes, good memories, great memories. And of course, I mentioned the Avengers game. Of course, I played the X-Men game too. Come out to play is a chronicling of the 1990 series, The New Warriors. First volume of New Warriors ran 75 issues. We're moving on up there, my friend. Jarrod and I will cover all of this first volume as I rediscover my love for the series, help Jarrod find his, and share love and joy with the listening audience. Grab your skateboards and bucket helmets. It is time to play. We are talking about New Warriors 23. Cover credits go to the dream team of Mark Bagley and Larry Malstead. And Jarrod's about to bring it up. I'm going to scoot over. Jarrod, you put yourself on mute, my friend.
I have to. I know I've got a lot going on. I got to switch to cover on the banner. I'm out of practice. And then I got to go pull it up. There we go. It's all together. There we go.
He's a professional, folks.
We
You
did
know,
it.
I rely on him so much that I put so much on his shoulders. I'm just used to it being automatic. So
all right, I got it together.
There's the cover.
There it is. There it
it's
is.
there. Jarrod flashed his book earlier. Let me flash mine.
Yeah,
I got mine.
There's my floppy flop. I think this might have been in the stack that you ordered for me, Delvin.
Nice, dude.
I think we're into that portion of my run now.
Nice.
All right. You want cover credits? Because I could do that. I
already did it. It was Bagley and Malstead.
Oh.
See, if you had the script up.
There it is. Would you like a cover description then?
I would love a cover description.
I'm like 2 steps behind. I was so happy with these bottles. It just put me 2 steps behind all night long. Okay. Here's your cover description. We have a orange corner box that only features the heads of Marvel Boy and Night Thrasher. We have the New Warriors logo in white with red highlights. It's got an all black background, which really enhances the mood of Ty is what you see front and center. And Ty is doing sort of the puppets on a string thing with her fingers. She's looking very menacing. And on her right hand, our left, is basically the folding circle, which is a reminder, meets in the church basement every Wednesday night. And then on her left hand, our right, is the New Warriors. And they're all tied up. They're all looking sort of exhausted and sad. And there's some cover blurbs. First of all, Nothing But the Truth Part 2, The Triumph of Ty, plus Marvel Boy's trial continues, and things aren't looking good for our boy. I think I got it all.
You did. It's a lot. What do you think about it?
I think it's really great. It's a very atmospheric cover. Of all the ones that we've seen so far, this one might be the most memorable for me. It packs in a lot. You get to see a lot of different characters. It gives you the mood of the book. You know, it's we talk about a lot of times we like it when what you see on the cover happens in the book, but this is one of those sort of metaphorical or symbolic covers that's just done really, really, really well. Excuse me. But I mentioned already that I really like the black background. That it just makes everything pull to the front. It brings the menace. I like it a lot. What about you?
I've mentioned so many times at this point of the Warriors, you got Bagley and Malstead, and man, they're just in their bag, you know, with the colorists combined the two. And it's just, they just knew what they were doing. They're putting out great stuff. And this cover, for me, like the most memorable cover, or one of the most memorable covers, was 18, where Thrash had Cord hanging over the building, like looking just angry. And you're like, what? Why is this the case? And the cover that happened, I think, in 17, where Nova and Thing were holding those big freaking cannons. I like those like probably more than this one. But that said, this is a great cover. Like Ty is looking just dangerous, and Bagley and company found a cool way to introduce all the other characters. Like, so I mean, count the characters: 3, 6. There's 12, 13 characters counting Ty. The cover doesn't look crowded at all, and all of them are at least introduced, and so you get to see some of the main characters of the book. And they even found a way to put Marvel Boy in the cover. Only one that's missing is Firestar, because even though the story isn't mainly featuring Firestar, but even though she had a role to play in the book, we'll get to that. Yeah, great cover, really, really fun to look at. And there are several comments. Linkovich, welcome, says it's a solid 9. Jason Lady gave it a 9, says it's eye-catching. MVP says no strings attached, only funny to any NC fans. I'm all man, so I totally don't get that. Bye. Trey Black says it's a solid 9, dynamic, and covers the overall theme. Let's see if we got more. I mean, we had a lot of people commenting on it. Scott O'Neill said, I still think this cover is an homage to Art Adams and Bill Sinkovich's New Mutants 39 cover. Did you see that and just ring
Make it up for things?
Awesome, Jarrod. They're like, man, I was like, I don't know what cover he's talking about. That's a badass cover. That's great. Courtney gave it a 9. MVP agreed and also gave it a 9. We have a lot of comments about it. And yeah, by the way, if we were to rate it 1 to 10, by the way, y'all, 1 to 10, I think we go nightsticks, also known as truncheons, if Ezra Gallo is listening. So what would I'll rate it? I'm with the majority of the group. I think it was a 9. When I first looked at it, I'm like, if I said 10, absolutely no one would blame me. But for me, it's right at that 9 level, and it's peaking at 10. And I think somebody mentioned they wouldn't mind having that on their wall or buying a cover. I can see that on, like, especially if you're a Warriors fan, I can see this cover being on your wall because, I mean, it's great. It is a great cover, and it's cool to see Bagley and Malstead and company still showing out like that. What do you think, Jarrod?
It's a 4.
Yes.
No, I'm of two minds. If Joe November was here, which Courtney already said in the chat, no haps, she's running defense on that. I really would probably do a 9.5. So I want to give 2 answers, and only you will really know the answer to that. Well, you and everybody else in the chat. If this storyline with Ty echoes through New Warriors universe, if Ty is sort of a staple villain that returns and all that stuff, is sort of a Doctor Doom to the Fantastic Four, I would give this a 10. If we're witnessing sort of the end of Ty and we're kind of done with her after the story arc, then I give it a 9. So there you have it. 2 answers.
You didn't choose. You gotta choose.
I don't know the future. I guess for now I called a 9. If she ends up being a big part of the universe, then I'd go with a 10.
Let's say I think 9's a safe bet.
Okay. All right.
9 is a safe bet. You got some comments going on about your mustache, man. Yeah.
Well, I've been working on it,
yeah,
trimming it up, and
do you owe me any money by any chance? got money for fake mustaches. We only exist for each other's entertainment. I swear, Jarrod. It is your turn to read the credits for the issue.
Now it's that time. All right.
Yes,
it's coming eventually. I'll find it. I had it on this. There we go. Okay, here are the credits for this issue. This is New Warriors number 23. It was on sale March 24th, 1992. Its cover date is May of 1992. The price is $1.25. Getting expensive. The story is by Fabian Nicieza. The pencils are Mark Bagley. The inks are Larry Malstead. The colors are Joe Rosas. The letters are Joe Rosen. The editor is Danny Fingeroth. We get this information from Mike's Amazing World of Comics. It's a great and helpful website. And I think a few episodes ago, we decided the correct pronunciation for nightsticks was trunchables.
I think that's if they were edible. If you could eat them, they would be called trunchables. And by the way, Jason Lady with a funny comment says the mustache apparently doesn't give him clairvoyance. I'm sensing a rivalry starting there, and I won't be able to me to encourage that. And Courtney Holland says, "Is Jarrod the new 007?" You know what? I'll give Jarrod credit. Maybe perhaps he's the old 007. He does have a tattoo of 007 on right shoulder.
That's correct. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. For all you watching, you get the eye candy of my tattoo.
Look, Jarrod, put the shoulder down, dude. It's not that type of show.
Remember, folks, the fun part about the mustache is as we podcast more and more, my lip gets sweatier and sweatier, and eventually will probably fall off. So we can all look forward to that.
Yes, and with that, I hope you also are looking forward to the synopsis because I'm about to read it. The title of this book is Past Lies. The story just gets juicier, right? 3 parts. 1, let's go to the United States, New York specifically, where Marvel Boy's trial is not going well. Started out okay, ended horribly. Firestar Girl, oof. Yeah. 2, overseas, slightly better for Team Warriors, but not much because they had to lie and steal their new behinds off to get into Cambodia, which they get to the Temple of the Dragon's Breath just in time because 3, Night Thrasher's team, the Folding Circle, has run into Ty, who spills all sorts of tea everywhere, but gets some spilled on herself as she's revealed as the true mastermind in front of everyone. And the fight is about to be on like neck bones, baby. And we are about to talk about the book. Jarrod brings up images. We talk about the images, and that's how we roll. So, Jarrod, if you are ready, sir.
I am ready. Let me bring up image the first. All right, splash page. I think this is pages 2 and 3. This we got the folding circle. They found the temple in Cambodia, if I remember correctly, of the dragon's breadth, and there's a D in there for those. It's a dragon's breadth, like
but it's pronounced breath, right?
I would. Why they put a D in there? I don't know.
Sometimes you gotta have a D.
I was like, I was like, dragon's breath, like or breadth, like it's width, and the way it's spelled, it's the width. I don't get it. Anyways, they've arrived at the temple. The most interesting thing about it is the temple guards all seem to be dressed similarly to Night Thrasher, which was interesting. I pass it to you.
Is interesting. This is the start of the mystery unfolding, and we see that at the bottom you've got the left hand, and his powers seem to be amped up because he was sort of kind of doing that silent goading thing, like, oh, they're not going to let us by. I guess you're going to have to kill them, murder them dead. And then he's like, no. And then he let out a blast, and next thing you know, he incapacitated the guards of the Temple of the Dragon's Breath with a D in it, and took care of it. But the mystery was just starting to unfold. I want to see your page 2 before we talk anything else. What do you got for page 2?
All right, sir. My next page is the court scene.
Before you start talking about it, I wanted to see if you're going to skip ahead, and you did. What did you think about that opening scene as far as the left hand and his powers and the stuff that was revealed? One of the things that I kind of found striking was that Midnight's Fire, which is a combination of Fireball and Guinness. Oh my God. Yeah. Midnight's Fire was kind of sticking up for Dwayne a little bit. It's like, hey, Dwayne asked you a couple of questions, and we've traveled all the way to freaking Cambodia, man. Are you gonna tell us something here? And Left Hand started telling them a little bit of something, but was there anything else that you gathered from those in that first opening set?
All right. Honestly speaking, I read this about a week ago, so my memory on it isn't the best, but I do remember all the things that you mentioned. Having the space of a week from reading it, I've got to say that I find, I guess, the B plot more interesting than the A plot. Like, I'm more invested in what's going on in the trial than I am what's going on in the jungle.
Interesting.
The jungle plot, let me just skip ahead to some things I was probably going to say later on. It's a little overly complicated for me. It's a little Claremontian, if you will.
Okay.
It's not like well, I put this curse on these soldiers, and no, it was I put this curse on these soldiers who had to mate with my daughters, which doesn't sound like a curse, and then their children would become and I was like, okay, it's too many levels for me. I'm done. Too complicated. But I do enjoy the reveals of who is who and where Cord came from and how Ty is related to basically the grandma here for, I guess, a lot of these characters. So that all is interesting to me. But I find myself more drawn to the courtroom scenes.
So go ahead. We have a courtroom scene up here. Looks like Foggy is talking with Mr. Rosen.
Let me tell you how stupid I am. All right. I know you have an idea, Duffin. We've been friends for a long time. I went way, way long on this. And you see at the bottom right there? Let me get rid of the banner so we can see it even better. Please hold. You see at the bottom right there in the green suit?
Yeah.
That's Marvel Boy.
Yes.
Guess who I thought it was for a really long time?
Daredevil?
Matt Murdock. I was like, oh, Matt's here. Sunglasses, red hair, Looks like he's taking a beating. These are all Matt Murdock things. So for a longest time, I was like, are they gonna let Matt Murdock say anything? Why do they keep looking at Matt Murdock? Oh, this is cool. And then I realized it's not Matt Murdock. So this is my admission to everyone that I'm a moron. And but I do like the courtroom scene. I kind of picked up where they were going with sort of the witness for the prosecution kind of backfiring, and then the witness for the defense backfiring later. Like I kind of picked up on that pattern. But I thought it was interesting that the guy you thought that would be out to get Marvel Boy actually kind of helped him with his testimony. And you never, you know what? You never trust a prosecutor who's like, oh yeah, no, I'm excited about you being on the stand.
Yeah.
And I think I have a page for that later on.
Yeah. And we can talk about Firestar later. But first, few comments. We hadn't mentioned the comments in a while. Tony with a funny one. I nominate Ty as the ultimate sandbagger. She's all badass and let the team get beat down numerous times, including a dude that was good at math and a girl with a whip. She's evil, Tony. Like, I mean, she probably looked and just laughed the whole time. Tim with jokes and says the plot has a lot of breath. Yeah.
I don't know why.
And let's see if there's anyone else. One more joke. You got Jason Lady said, white load dragon on the freeway preceded by a vehicle with flashing lights. Yes. Now let's talk about Mr. Rosen. What I liked is that the prosecutor introduced Rosen as a hostile witness, and he didn't want to be up there, which automatically says that he was sympathetic to the superhero here, in this case, Vance. And I liked that. I like that they introduced that, and I like that Foggy played to Vance's humanity. It's like, yes, he is capable of a lot of power, but he does not have the temperament to just kill someone in cold blood. So I do like that was introduced. And I actually like the very subtle thing that the prosecutor Dreyfus did too, of saying that this guy is capable of great feats with his mind and great destruction with his mind. So it's just it might just be just a little thing that he was able to kill his dad with the powers. I thought it was well played on both sides.
I wholeheartedly agree. Let me pull another page. There we go. Flashback. Meow, 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 meow. So we get the flashback of the story of sort of how all this came about. Essentially you have a group of Vietnam soldiers sort of bumbling onto this temple, and Ty's like, oh, hey, I got evil plans for you, or not really for you, but for your kids, because again, it's overly complex by my standards. But I thought, hey, it's the flashback. It's the origin of where this started. So it was worth talking about. And maybe you can help me be less salty about it. I'm not that salty about it, but like warm me up to this whole idea.
The thing, of course, you keep mentioning is like, I can imagine about 19-year-old Jarrod is like, so, yeah, I'm going to need you to sleep one day. Okay. I haven't even told you. Say less.
I don't need details.
Say much less. The second one from the left. Yes, thank you. Marriage? Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I am not being mature as a host right now. Yeah. I agree with you in that, like, this plot that Ty had, it literally involved, like, if she had to have someone from the West, you would have had to have Westerners stumble onto this temple in order for the whole plot to even begin. Now, that said, she mentioned that this has been who knows how long in the making. This wasn't a plan of a month or a year. This had been going on for quite some time, that she was going to develop this thing for what end we really aren't fully sure about yet. But it's something that she, A, had planned for a very long time, but B, those plans have been put into fast forward in a way that she wasn't necessarily prepared to have happen. So C, she is making the best of a unique situation by hitting fast forward on this whole shebang bang. So interesting, right?
Yeah, it's a very long-term generational plan.
Yes. I wanted to mention, because I think you may have skipped by it, just about the New Warriors and how they got into Cambodia, which is at least worth mentioning, right? I thought it was, if in some ways, the best part of the book, in that it was talking about the New Warriors team. And I mean, I put this in quotes of how low they've sunk, because last issue, they broke into Avengers Mansion and stole an Avengers Quinjet. And then the autopilot tried to kick in, and Nova just smashes it. And then they're about to get hounded because they entered to a foreign country's airspace. And then you can even tell, I love the pause. There was a pause, and Nate Marita just kind of had her hair like this and was like, we lie.
Yep, we're gonna lie.
And so it took even more moral sacrifices for the Warriors to wind up achieving the goal. And Fabian is good with that dynamic. It's like, okay, I don't think anyone would argue that the Warriors mean well. However, there's a reason that there's that phrase, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I'm not necessarily saying that the Warriors are on the road to hell, that they're going to all do some sort of crazy heel turn or whatever. But I am saying in these past few months that they have had to sacrifice a decent amount in order to achieve the goals that they want to, or even get close to achieving them. Do you have any comments on that?
Very much puts me in the mind of JLI when they had to go to Bialia. And speaking of which, I'm getting some pretty good Booster Beetle vibes off of the Nova Darkhawk duo. So I think that would be a fun thing to explore, to let sort of Nova and Darkhawk be sort of the Booster and Beetle of this team. So hope to see more of that.
Gotcha. Darkhawk was a good addition to the team. I wonder how Fabian kind of rationalized that out, because as you saw, the folding circle had 6 people, and the Warriors could have had 6 people, but you had to subtract 2 because of the Vance thing that happened, which has been a very intriguing storyline that we're not even finished talking about yet, but needed 2 other ones, and brought along Rage and brought along Darkhawk, and it evened out the matchup. I think that if Marvel Boy at his present power level and Firestar were there, they are much stronger than the Folding Circle team. So I think that's kind of why it happened. And because just the telekinesis plus the pyrokinesis of Firestar is just too powerful for the rest of the Folding Circle, I think. Or if there were 8 members of the New Warriors and then 6 members of the Folding Circle, that'd be uneven too. So you got 6 on one side, 6 on the other, crash in the middle.
This is a great opportunity to play with the roster a little bit, and being it's the New Warriors, and these are basically, new. Now Nova's not certainly new, nor is really Speedball new, but fresh. They're fresh and new to the Marvel Universe. They have a fresh coat of paint on them. And at the same time, on the stands, you have Darkhawk doing that same thing. Like Darkhawk is actually doing, I have to imagine, decently well, because it ended up getting a pretty good run of comics, which I'm currently trying to collect the whole run of, getting closer. But I think he just makes a lot of sense to put in there. Rage, I think, comes from the pages of the Avengers, which I don't know a lot about, and read a lot of Avengers. But yeah, he also has that new guy feel to him. So I think they just fit really well here, and it allows Fabian to play with the power set of the roster. I think it's really smart on his part.
We definitely got to a point where some of the powers that be kind of looked at Fabian and was like, okay, book's doing well enough. And, so you bring on Darkhawk, who was doing well. The initial run of Darkhawk went 50 issues, which that's a successful run. I think you got a character in your book, a brand new character of the 90s that went 50. That's 4 years. That's not bad.
Wouldn't happen.
And right. It gets to like 3 issues, and it's like, no, final issue. Like, what? Man, barely got the leg stretched out. And I went through some back issues, some back issue bin diving, and saw several issues of the Avengers, I think around the 320s or so, where Rage seemed like he was a team member. And I think he was a team member until they found out that he was actually a teenager, like a 13-year-old boy. And they were like, can't endanger you.
Very,
like that.
very Shazamish.
Yeah, very Shazamist, a boy in a man's body. Anyway, we've talked long enough.
That's what I am.
Seconded.
All right, I've already Kathy to stop watching the Golden Globes at the same time she watches the live stream. We need your full focus here, Kathy. She's chatting in there about some things happening on the Golden Globes, and I'm like, come on now, gotta focus on the New Warriors talk.
And Jason backed me up. Jason Lady says Rage was a team member until they found out he was a kid. Then he became a trainee Avenger. If I get a wild hair, like my buddy Manuel has been taking me to a lot of the smaller cons in Charlotte recently. Maybe I look through those because I think that was Dollar Bin. Like, would I spend $20 and get a run and you read about Rage and maybe read some old Avengers? Yeah. Why
I
not?
would too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Why the heck not?
All right, switching up the page. We're going back to the courtroom scene as we talked about. Firestar pretty much playing right to the hands of the prosecution. Basically, they asked her, has his power set evolved? Has he gotten stronger? Has he gotten better abilities? Yep. Well, shouldn't he be able to control himself then? And she's like, And the prosecutor was like, And she was like, She's like, She's like, And Matt Murdock looked really concerned.
Foggy was wondering a couple of pages ago, it was like, why does she want you up there? And I think Foggy was an experienced enough attorney that he should have known. He should have known what she was setting him up for, or what Dreyfus was setting Firestar up to do. And I personally, even though obviously I have no trial experience other than freaking Tri-High in high school, youth judicial, I think that Foggy should have been objecting his butt off to answer because she is not a psychiatrist. There's no way she can have a positive opinion on this, blah, blah, blah. I would have thrown everything in front before she would have answered that question as clean as she did. Because if the trial stopped right then, right now, Vance is guilty. He is guilty as all hell. And there is nothing, and it's directly because of Angelica and what she did. And that's a tragedy. She didn't mean to do it. They set it up so well. Because she was like, I have nothing to say, and it's going to be my testimony, and I'm just going to tell the truth. Woo! The
truth doesn't always set you free.
What about you? Do you have anything else to add on that? I mean,
this was the moment in the whole comic that I was like, yeah, kind of saw this coming, but it was well written, well drawn, well executed. Yeah.
And it's a courtroom drama. Like, you don't see too many courtroom dramas play out.
And I always enjoy them. You hard pressed to find a bigger She-Hulk fan than me. I always enjoyed the whole courtroom drama aspect of it. Back in the day when Slott was writing it, and even some Byrne before him. Like I've always enjoyed. I like courtroom dramas in general, so maybe that's why it appeals to me.
Me too. I've gone back and watched all but a few episodes of the show Boston Legal. Have you ever watched that show?
I have not. I know of it, but I have James Spader, Captain Kirk.
Spader alone is worth the price of admission. I mean, he gives those closing arguments alone, and I'm just like riveted, like, oh my God, he's so compelling. Okay. Trey Black says, Foggy screwed up a lot, IMO. I'm telling you, this screen that's up right now, I totally agree. Like, man, he should have been objecting his behind off on that one, in my opinion, even though I'm not an attorney. And another Trey comment, it was just saying that the 90s Avengers was chock full of wasted potential. I mean, it got so convoluted to the point that they actually had to just they had to do a reboot because Tony Stark was a teenager. The Wasp was a freaking butterfly. Like Thor was wearing like this S&M costume that did not look at all like it. Yeah, it was. But that said, I have a poster of a Steve Epting Avengers. I think you gave me that poster, Jarrod. And it's framed on the wall. And you're right. There's some cool characters. Got Cap, Scarlet Witch, Thor, Hercules, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Vision, Iron Man. I mean, same murderer's role that you have now, except it just wasn't quite as well executed.
Yeah, I saw Jason comment in there somewhere about, I remember this because I did read a few of these Avengers. Sandman was part of the team. And that's a lot of ways you can go with that story. And it could be a great redemption arc. It can be a tragedy. It can be a lot, but like they didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, Sandman is kind of like Clayface is right now in the Bat universe. Clayface is kind of like an anti-hero. He's helping Batman, but all it takes is just that wrong thing, and he's sort of back on the side of the bad guys as opposed to the side of the angels. And heck, they've done the same thing with Catwoman for that matter. Right.
I remember they did it with the Riddler. Like he was basically solving crimes in Gotham. And I thought that was a cool way to run him too, because of course he'd get bored with a mind like that. He's very Sherlock Holmes. Hey, welcome to Batcast, episode 1, inside of Warriors 23. I'll talk about Batman all the time. Let me bring up a new page.
All right.
This is the last one, by the way. Look at that. Look at that drawing. I mean, look at it. For those of you who are on the podcast only feed, it's the very last page. It's a to be continued, and it's basically the New Warriors showing up to get into the mix. And this New Warriors team consists of Silhouette, Nova, Rage, Speedball, Namorita, and Darkhawk. And it's just Bagley Malstead goodness. It just looks really good. The colors really, really pop. It's just a wonderful drawing and a cool way to end the book. And I'll let Dalton talk.
Yep. Trey asked, why is Silhouette so pale? Good question. She's normally drawn a little bit darker than that. So might just be a little coloring error, but it doesn't detract from the rest of it. I love how they arrived. All of them just, in action poses, like looking like some cool action figures. That's cool. Not talking at all about the New Warriors. They mentioned Force Works and happened to talk about, let's see, it was Tony Pennington who said Wonder Man was the bomb. And Trey
Black,
love
Wonder Man.
and Trey Black said, literally in Force Works, I bought Force Works 1 in a dollar bin, and I'm debating bringing that for a Longbox Crusade episode.
I gotta agree. And Tony goes on to say in the chat, the Wonder Man series was the most fun. I passed on it back in the day. I found some in a quarter bin about a couple years ago, and I read them, and I was like, this is extremely entertaining. So I hear you. Shout out. Welcome to Wonder Man Cast episode 1. It's just after Batcast, but yeah, I'm with you, dude. That was cool.
Wonder Man and Beast. You talk about your Booster Gold and Blue Beetle comparison. That would be it in the Marvel Universe, in my opinion. But Warriors, yeah. A lot of things were revealed before this page, because what I had to remind myself was all of this information was new to Dwayne. Dwayne had first struck out on his own. Then he got beat up and knocked out and joined the Folding Circle. And so he was led along with the rest of the Folding Circle there without really knowing anything else that happened. He doesn't know that Ty attacked Silhouette. He does not know about the Cord Ty connection. Didn't know about any of that, and found all of it out in the temple, as did the rest of the crew, including Midnight's Fire, who found out about who his dad was, because he had no idea that Cord was his father. So a lot of revelations were revealed, with the point of now all the players are in place. Got the Warriors that got their way. You got the Folding Circle that got their way. You got Ty that got their God knows how. And they're all in the temple, and it looks like a showdown is about to happen.
There are thieves in the temple tonight.
I love that song.
I wanted to point something out real quick. If Delvin, you have the floppy or print version, as do I.
I do.
She's not as pale in that. I think it's the recolor for the digital, where I snapped the picture from Marvel Unlimited. She's a little bit pale, but not as pale as she is in that recolor.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. The same in my book. So
man, what a great drawing.
Yeah, it is a great drawing. I don't know. You tell me, since you're the artist. Like, are there any characters that you've drawn that you didn't particularly care to draw?
Anything with armor.
So on the other side of it, are there characters that you draw that you absolutely love drawing? Like
Turtles.
So I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember that the next time I see a Turtles drawing of yours, and I'm going to remember that the next time I see maybe an Iron Man. Because what I was going to say is, doesn't it like Bagley just had a ton of fun drawing this? Like it just every character is just like in this cool pose and athletic, and it just looks like he just had a blast drawing this splash page. The comment from Jason Lady is Midnight's Fire, the latest multi-platinum album from Luther Vandross. May he rest in peace. There was but a ton of joy in that cover this splash page in the back of it. And I also like the fact that there wasn't a letters page, because sometimes if they need that extra page to tell that extra little bit of story, like they do it for a couple of reasons. They usually don't just do it for a run-of-the-mill issue. They do it if they really, it's like, man, we're in this story. We got to give you this extra page. We want to give you that extra reveal because we need it. And it's going to have to bump the letters page. And that's what happened in this case.
Yeah. Overall, Fabian packed a lot of story in here. And, I may give him a little crap earlier about the overly complex plot of Ty. But I got to say, I mean, if you just look at panel count and page count, I mean, I just flipped to a random page. Look how many panels. There's a lot packed in here. He got the extra page, and it never felt burdensome. So it was a lot of info, but it was overall crisply paced, and I think he did a good job cramming a lot into one book.
Yep, absolutely. We got some all sorts of discussions going on now in the comments. I'll bring up one more joke by Tony Pennington who says, Midnight's Fire is a forgotten strain of VD from the 60s. Sir, this is a family live stream. We will not be laughing at that out loud. So I don't know. I think we've had a discussion, and I think it was a good one. If you want to go ahead to your part of it, Jarrod, you can.
Certainly. I will swap out the banner.
Oh, I was going to do it for you while you did it.
Oh, you're too kind. Sorry, I found it. All right. It is now time for us to discuss the Ultimate Warrior and the Ultimate Worrier for this book. Who do we think stood out and had a landmark good time to be the Ultimate Warrior? And who are we concerned about to be the Ultimate Worrier? It's Vance Astrovic. But let's go to the Warrior, who had a standout performance in this issue.
I mean, along those same lines of what you whispered, the Ultimate Warrior has to be prosecuting attorney Dreyfus.
Maybe so.
Because after that Firestar mission, she could have turned to the camera like, got him. Like,
the little digital sunglasses come down and the neck chain and the cigarette.
Yes, sir. She right now she's nailing it. Like I said, if the trial stopped at issue 23, Vance is guilty and he is going to jail for a long, long time. Who do you think's the Ultimate Warrior?
I kind of want to split it, but ultimately I'm going to give it to Namorita. You know how I like leadership, especially peer leadership in my books. I love Cyclops. I love Leonardo, things of this nature. She really stepped up with the void of Night Thrasher, the typical lead, not being there. She really stepped up and really felt like stepping into her role as an Atlantean princess, or at least cousin to the royalty, Atlantean royalty. I think she stepped up really well. And I said I almost split it because I still feel like Nova brings a bit because he feels like, he's had more. This may or may not be true. Don't fire me up in the chat, but like more history in the Marvel Universe. He had his own book in the 70s and all that stuff. Like he kind of feels like he's been around the block a little more than the rest. So I see him with shades of stepping up, and him and Namorita kind of really clicking together and doing well at leading this team. So that's what I'm gonna give it to.
Nice.
Warrior.
So far in the comment, yeah. Before we get there, so far, Jason Lady says the Ultimate Warrior is tied because she is large and in charge in this issue.
I can see that.
Hard to deny that. And she was holding court too, dropping those truth bombs left and right. And Tim Price says Namorita bluffing the army. That was, with a card that didn't look like her. That was rage. She's like, we're on official business. But that's how it works sometimes. Sometimes that guy or girl who next thing you know, they're backstage at the concert because they act like they belong there, or like the salt chef guy who winds up on the field of these sporting events and he has no business being there and he just bluffed his way onto the field. He did that at the World Cup when they won, and everyone's like, who is this guy? And anyway, and Kathy mentions, is it time to mention? I didn't read it. So yes.
Me neither, Kathy. I've been guessing this whole episode.
Good guesser, though. Good guesser, though. That's what I was going to say. And as Jarrod already mentioned, Ultimate Warrior. I think we both agree. Yeah, it's time to worry for Vance. Like, I'm kind of worried for Dwayne, but at least Dwayne has the Warriors there to help him out. Right now, Vance is sitting there. He's still recovering from injuries. His girlfriend just hung his butt out to dry. That was brutal. Dramatic to read. Great dramatic read. But felt bad for Vance on that one. What about you?
Same. It's Vance, too much murder in the pants, if I can make that joke. But anyway, I saw you bobbing.
I was with you. I would have sung along, but mouthful of water.
Yeah, he's not in an enviable position for certain. So yeah, got to worry about Vance. Got to worry about the guys in Cambodia, not just Night Thrasher, but even the Folding Circle, which my great aunt is also a member of. I'm not giving up on these Folding Circle jokes.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah, they're all in. Ty's kind of running things, so we'll find out what happens with Smiling Tiger and Midnight's Fire, which is a new sauce packet available at Taco Bell.
I thought it was a new club that opened up on South End. But yes, we got a few more comments here. Trey Black says, I got to go with Vance for Ultimate Warrior. His woman just buried him in court. that is true. Jason Lady adds Ultimate Warrior Firestar. What a position to get put in. Yeah, you got to know that Firestar's like, sorry. The jail door is closing. Sorry.
She took it better than me. I would have used my powers to set the room on fire. Like, oh shit, room's on fire. Everybody scatter.
Even before I answered the question, it would have been like, oh no, fire alarm went off. Well, I don't have time to answer the question. Gotta go. Rules are rules. Let's see. Scott, we hadn't read enough of his comments. Says, not sure if Warrior, or both, but gotta love Syl taking point as they charge in to take on Ty. Ty literally just tried to kill her, and she's all round 2. Very good point. Because technically speaking, the Warriors don't have their leader right now in Thrash, and it's not necessarily a logical assumption that Silhouette would take point. In fact, she was one of the last members on the team. But that said, sure enough, she had a reason to have a grudge about Ty because Ty freaking threw her out of a doggone window and left her to die, for Pete's sake. So, yeah, absolutely. Well, there is that. And I guess we can rate the book. Y'all know how we do, 1 to 10 on the book. We got to rate it. You want to go first, Jarrod, or you want me to go first? Your choice.
This is hard Go ahead. I went first on the cover.
Okay.
I think. Maybe you did.
I don't remember.
Who cares? Go ahead.
I'm where you were on the cover. Like, I could give this book a 10, walk away, and not even think about it. In fact, I'm going to give it a 10. And the reason why is it's been a great buildup to get the Warriors to this point. And it was not a not a fast process. It wasn't a rushed process. It was a very well done, a very well done orchestration to get the Warriors and all their separate components, to include Darkhawk and Rage, to that temple. And it was a separate component getting the folding circle to the temple. And then they didn't even have to explain Ty, because Ty apparently just has these powers that we don't know the full extent of yet. And she just freaking appeared at the temple, which she clearly has been the nexus of all of this. And we kind of know why, but we kind of don't, all at the same time. And all this buildup looks like there's going to be a smackdown of a fight coming up. So great buildup. Gets a 10 for me.
All right, sir. Yeah, I'm at a 9. The Ty's plan being kind of overly complex kind of held me back just from that 10, but it's a 9 for me. I'm interested to read more. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah. I can tell you next issue, I believe there's going to be a guest artist in the book as Mark Bagley ramps up for issue 25. I think it's Chris Marinan, which will be the first time that we get a substitute teacher in the book. And Chris had a tough act to follow, but we're talking about 24 before it's time. What a buildup, though. I was just super impressed with it. And as a person who's read this 2, 3, whoever knows how many times before, it's very nice to read this and get that story again. And of course, now this makes me think about just finding other series now and pulling up a random run of like 25 issues, especially you find it in a quarter bin or something, you're probably going to get some quality doggone story. In any event, Scott O'Neill says it's a 10. It's an exposition issue that felt like a drama-filled action issue. That's tough to do. Agreed. That courtroom drama was gripping. It was gripping. Jason Lady said Scott O'Neill agreed. 10 from Jason. Trey gave it a 9. Says dramatic build up for show. So yeah, looks like some high marks on the cover. Looks like some high marks on the story. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the show. Please come back and join us for the next episode where we discuss New Warriors 24, where all the players are in place at the temple and the courthouse. What's left to be revealed? If you want to hear more from us, y'all, New Warriors. New Warriors are in a lot of places, but we are the New Warriors with the Longbox Crusade. We're also in a lot of places. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Longbox Crusade. Got the Patreon thing going on. We talked about that at the start. We also talked about YouTube at the start. Please like, please subscribe, please tell your friends. We would love to have y'all come along with us for the ride. You can email us also, contact@longboxcrusade.com. We even have an older school method, and you can leave us a message to talk about Come Out to Play. And if you ever left a message at 707-532-LBOX, pick up the phone. If you ever left a message, I'm sure we can take a minute or two and play a message if someone talked about the New Warriors on the good old answering machine that Jarrod monitors. Love to hear it, actually. But what I also love is that I looked at the people watching, and we had double digits for pretty much the entire time, which is freaking phenomenal. Thank y'all so much for doing that. We do it if no one were here, but it's great to have y'all along with us. Thank you so much. Jarrod, talk about your wares and your whereabouts on the internet.
All right. If you want to follow me and chat with me personally, I am all over the social medias at Yard Sale Artist, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist. Thank you, Delvin.
Thank you, sir. I can be found on Twitter at DEE_RAY1977. I can be found on Instagram. If you want to find me there at Delvin Ray, DELVINRAY.
Breaking news. I booked my table for Heroes Con last night. So you folks in the chat are some of the first to know that I will be at Heroes Con, provided they don't do a background check and remove me. And usually the Longbox Crusade crew is in tow, and there may be some announcements about that Longbox Crusade crew and Heroes Con. But if you're planning on going to Charlotte for Heroes Con, you will see me and Delvin, and most likely Pat, Jason, and possibly Kathleen, all from the Longbox Network. So
it has been a great time every time that we've had it. There's a 2-year break, obviously, with COVID, but 18, 19, and 22 were fun years for Heroes Con, and 23 should be an awesome year too. This is great. Like, we usually get some podcasters and some friends from the podcast show up, and it's just been, it's always a ton of fun. A lot of times we'll gather around Jarrod's table, and a lot of times we'll just see each other roaming around the big floor at the, oh my goodness, I was going to say Coliseum. It's not Coliseum.
Convention Center?
Yeah, and I'm going to blank on the name of the doggone convention center. It's not like I haven't lived in Charlotte for 5 doggone years.
Just type in Charlotte Convention Center. You'll find it.
I actually think it's named Charlotte Convention Center. And it is a fun time. And you should definitely come to Heroes Con if you can. But nevertheless, we are right at our hour point, which is where I like to stop it. See you all next time. And remember, please be a hero to someone, even if it's just to yourself. And until next time, New Warriors. Come out to play. Everybody, y'all have a good night.